Hi guys, it is so good to be back. I have been really slack over the past few months with my posting. I know that I haven't been consistent, and to be honest, I haven't felt super motivated to be consistent either, but also it kind of becomes this vicious cycle because I have all of these ideas that I want to post, and then I feel like, but I'm too behind, but I don't have the motivation to film, but I have all of these ideas, so I need to try to do better. And this video is going to be a filler for this week because I feel like I've done some, I don't know, like on topic videos, I guess, and I haven't really done just any catching up and talking about what's going on in my life and talking about what has been on my heart and on my mind. And I remember last time that I started to get a bit stagnant with my creativity in my videos. I had a sit down video, I rambled out, I talked about all of the stuff that I'd been thinking about, and then I just had kind of the free, clear headspace to get back into regular posting and making vlogs and making lighthearted stuff. So I thought that this little chatty video would be a good chance for me to just catch up with you guys, word vomit, talk about a few things that have been happening for me, and I don't know, have a little catch up between friends, and then from next week onwards I can get back into actually creating my ideas if that's okay with you guys. To start off with, I am drinking the yummiest hot chocolate ever right now. Pretty much I definitely did not invent this, I'm sure someone else has done it, but I invented the best hot chocolate that is not healthy whatsoever, but it's ice cream, lactose free, with whatever drinking chocolate you have as your favorite. Mine is from Margaret River Chocolate Factory, and you just sprinkle a little bit on top of the ice cream, and then you pour hot water, you let all the ice cream melt, then you pour a little more hot water, and then you put a tiny bit of oat milk, and then you drink it, and it's really nice and creamy and extra sweet. So that's my top tip number one. Number two is that it is the end of school term. So for those of you who don't know, I work as a youth minister at a high school, and in Australia we have 10-week terms and then a 2-week break, and then a 10-week term and a 2-week break, and then at the end of the year we have summer holidays, which is 6 weeks long. So we are in a 2-week break at the moment, and I have been waiting for the holidays to begin, to be honest. I've been really burnt out, really tired. I've been kind of just spiritually quite drained, socially quite drained, and I've just needed some time to breathe. And I tell you, when that final school bell went, I felt like I could take a deep breath and just take some time to rest and recover. And yeah, I definitely need it, and I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks of just resting and taking some time to slow the heck down. On that note of talking about school though, I did have some really special moments over the past week. I was talking to my kids in sessions about God's forgiveness and God's ability to heal and God's understanding of our brokenness, and that His love doesn't invite us into failure, and it doesn't invite us into being complacent or making bad calls, but it does invite us into kind of an understanding of our brokenness, and an understanding that we can resurrender, and that when we come back and ask for forgiveness, whether it's the 100th time or the first time, God is not looking down on us, but He is acknowledging our courage, and He's welcoming us home. And so that was something really beautiful to share about. I shared with these beautiful kids about some of my history with God, And so I just went into a little bit of my story and a little bit about a time when I was about 18 and I was really weighed down. Like I could literally emotionally and I think physically as well just feel the burden of, I guess, the knowledge that I would always mess up at some stage. And I really was weighed down by some choices that I'd made, by some relationships that I was surrounded by some hurts that I carried that I guess I was blaming those people for some reactions that I was giving, but really in that moment I was still choosing to act a certain way. And how when I brought those things to Jesus and I let him in and I let him have those parts of me that I kept so secret. To me, my biggest secret was the fact that I thought everyone saw me in a particular way and I didn't want to let them down by them seeing the ugly parts of me and the messed up parts of me and the parts of me that made wrong choices and made tough calls. And even when they did see me mess up, I didn't want them to know that I acknowledged those mistakes, because to me, them seeing me know that I messed up meant that I really did mess up, you know? And them not seeing me live this facade of perfection, that would shatter their understanding of who I am and it would affect my identity in some kind of way. So I kind of shared a bit about that and about how the moment that I chose to reveal that part of myself to God, though he knew it was there already, I was able to let go and I was able to breathe, and it felt like my lungs were able to reach full capacity of like inhalation when I'd carried so much weight and tension and frustration and hurt and all of these things with me for such a long time. But when I brought them to Jesus and I just said, you know what, this is how I've been acting and this is how I've been feeling and this is why I've been doing these things and I still know they're wrong, there was no shame. And as part of that, I talked a little bit about this prayer called the examination of conscience. You kind of go through the 10 commandments, and after each commandment there's kind of self-reflective questions saying, well, have I done this? Have I messed up in this way? And I was explaining that as we reflect, we're not reflecting upon our shame, but we're reflecting on how these might have affected us and our connection with God. And once we've acknowledged them, we can then freely give them to God. Because you know, sometimes when you're weighed down by something and you don't really know what it is or why, and you don't know what this cloud is that's overhanging and why you feel like haunted and you can't quite put your finger on what that thing is. I've always felt that examination of conscience, that prayer, has helped me to put my finger on, well, some of this pain is coming from something to do with that, and some of this pain and hurt and anguish is coming from me doing this, or me partaking in this, or the impact of this thing in my life when I choose to let it be a part of my life. And so I explained to the kids, and then I ran them through that prayer and I led them up the front through that reflection and did a surrender prayer after each section. And it was just really special. There was a little sweet student who came up at the end, and she was just asking me the most pure, beautiful, insightful, wise beyond her years questions that I had to kind of struggle to articulate answers that I hope made sense to her and touched her. But I guess all of that story goes to say that I was sharing these things about the character of God, and really I was reminding myself of these things. Another part of the update I guess I wanted to share with you guys is that my spiritual life has been not dry, but definitely not, I haven't been sewing into it in the way that I should be. And the reason I say this is not to make myself feel bad, because I'm dealing with that in my own space, in my own time, in my own conversation with the Lord. You know, I'm receiving prayer for that, and I'm actively going to spend some time over this 2-week break kind of investing in that again. But the reason I do share that is because I want this channel particularly when I'm sharing about my faith and my relationship with God, to be very honest. And I don't think it's fair when we portray online a relationship with God as something that is very linear and perfect, and it's awesome if you're doing well in your relationship with God. But I personally have gone through ups and downs and times where I've really had to grapple and struggle and hold on. And I don't say that to diminish the reality of who God is at all, because I believe in him, 100% I believe in him, but my own humanity leads me into this place where I do have to reconcile the fact that I'm human and the calls that I make are not always right and not always healthy, and that God is greater than my own understanding. So I can come to whatever conclusions I will, but that doesn't say anything about who God is. That's just saying something about my mind. And so I wanted to be clear and honest and raw about that sort of stuff, that it's very normal to go through times where you have to try a little bit harder, or where you can just like let God take the reins, and where you have to build habits, and where you have to pursue discipline, and other times where you're just like, I've got this, you know? And right now I'm just in one of those seasons where I have to carve out a little bit more intentionality in my life, and I need to make more room for God, because I filled my life up with a lot of stress and anxiety recently, and I tend to have this habit of holding on to this perception of control that I think that I have. And so when life gets overwhelming, it becomes harder for me to let God in and let God become a part of that circumstance, and to let him take the reins. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. That's a little bit of a faith update from me. All of this goes to say as well that I do want this to be a place of growth. I want this to be a channel where I encourage people to grow closer to God, and where I inspire people in their faith, and where people can come to me with questions. But I don't think that I can honestly create that space without being very clear that I'm also on a journey, and that though I've been walking with God for a long time now, I'm still on this daily walk with God where I surrender and I choose. And so that is that update. And I guess in addition to that as well is I have felt very fearful about being very open about my walk with God, partially because there are some people in my life who I don't feel like I can 100% be open and honest with about my walk with God. And that's a pretty raw thing to say outright anyway online, but also because there's a lot of fear attached with people who I don't know kind of taking things in the wrong way, or making assumptions about who I am or why I believe something. That becomes something quite nerve-wracking for me, because I have this really deep desire to share Jesus. But I also have a fear of man that I'm learning to grow from. And so even things like, I don't know if many people have picked it up, but I've started subtly sharing that I am Catholic, that's my denomination. I know a lot of content creators online, or a lot of people who share their lives online, that won't outright share the denomination that they partake in, for fear of other people from Christianity belittling them or questioning them in an unkind manner, and partaking in conversation that is not conducive to growth or love, but is conducive to pride. And I don't want to invite that into this space, because I really feel like I'm cultivating a space where I want people to be able to openly share where they're at, even if it's not the same place as me, because I want to love people where they're at and invite them into knowing God. And I think that encounter with God is always what transforms actions and hearts, and the way that we relate with life and our choices and all of those things, an encounter with a troll on the internet or someone who's well-meaning but being uncharitable or unkind is one of the things that will not often lead someone to the heart of the Father. So that's another thing that I've been afraid of that I am doing right now. Just being a lot more vulnerable and open and raw and realistic about the way that I express my faith and the way that I have met Jesus and the way that I've encountered God in the past. And regardless of where you are at, I want you to know that you're welcome in this place, and that I hope that as I share a little bit of my journey, that you don't feel like I'm shoving it down your throat, but that you would be in a place of openness to receive what I have to share and recognize that I'm a human and that I have a story and I've had some amazing experiences that I'm willing to share, and that I love you, whoever you are. And I know as a deep, deep truth that God loves you too. And yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that. And I guess I wanted to finish up on just a gratitude that I've had so much support this year. I only started this channel in January, and I have felt incredibly blessed by both the people in my life and people who I don't even know who have reached out and offered encouragement and who've really championed this weird little dream. I've wanted to make YouTube videos for the longest time, like since I was 16. And you know, the British YouTubers were ruling the internet. I had always felt this little whisper inside of me that was calling me into sharing and making videos and being creative in this way, but there was a really strong fear that held me for the longest time, and sometimes that fear still lingers, and that's why sometimes I'm pretty inconsistent. But the encouragement of each and every one of you, even if you've never commented before and you just like my videos, or you're just someone who has subscribed and you're like a silent viewer but you keep up with what I'm doing, or a special thank you to those people who have like DM'd me or commented on a video down below and just shared whether something was meaningful to them or whether it was something completely lighthearted and a joke, or a quote that they enjoyed, or on my clothing videos a piece that they liked. Each and every comment and like and subscriber and person who has messaged me and people who have reached out in real life, I'm just really, really blessed by how kind you've been to me, because I am actually a very shy person, and so to do this has been such a courage building journey. So keeping it lighthearted towards the end, because I know this has been some heavy content. I'm just really, really grateful for you guys, and I have some really cool things that are in the works for videos as well. I recently have ordered a bunch of secondhand clothing online, and I did say in one of my clothing videos in the past that I'm not necessarily talented at thrifting in a thrift shop, because it's just so overloaded with stuff that I can never find anything good, I feel. So I took the advice of one of the people who commented on one of my videos, and I've been looking on Depop and vintage Instagram stores, and I've found some goodies. So I will be posting a video very soon of me styling those pieces, because I know that the fashion videos tend to connect with a lot of people, which is really cool. And also I want to do a video styling my new loafers, because they are quickly becoming my favorite shoe. And also on top of that, I really do want to get back into the Pray With Me series. I know that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've had some really beautiful messages, even from people saying that they're teachers and they play them for their students, or they've played them for staff members that they're close to, or they've shared it with a friend or whatever. And I feel like there's something really special in that. So I'm going to keep making those, and I'm going to make a big pile of those to continually, slowly release throughout the rest of the year. I would love it if you would please, please, please comment down below, just letting me know any video ideas that you would really love to see from me, or maybe your favorite type of video you've seen from me so far, so I can continue following those niches. And I just hope that you're having an amazing weekend. I know that this was a very low-key video, and I promise I'll be coming back with some vlogs and that sort of stuff really soon. But it was just really good to sit and word vomit and share a little bit of the mess that's been going on in my head. And I just really pray for you guys that you're gonna have a good season. So I will talk to you really soon. Thank you so much for watching this whole thing, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye.